If you are watching this video, it most likely means that you want to fly your drone here in Sweden. Well, this video is gonna tell you all you need to know. But if you in fact are living in Sweden and speak Swedish, then you can instead watch this video made by Johan Hedberg, aka MATGEEK. He explains pretty much the same things that I'm gonna go through here in English. If this is the first time you're watching my channel, you should know that I spent 5 weeks making video vlogs, traveling all over Sweden, flying the drone and having fun this summer with the family. So if you want to see some cool aerial shots and get to know Sweden a bit better, maybe get inspired for where you want to travel, I suggest you check out my summer series of the vlogs, link below. Also a big thanks to all you guys who've been following me this summer. Your comments on the last video was simply overwhelming. I thank you very much for that, it inspires me a lot to keep going. Before going through the regulations in Sweden, just a little disclaimer here to clear things up. I am a private citizen, I do not represent any company or organization. The regulations I'm gonna talk about is the regulations that were in play right now when I'm making the video as of August 2017, and it is the way I understand the regulations. If I got anything wrong that shows up in the comments later, I will post some corrections to that on the first lines in the description down below. Also, if there has been a major change in the regulations, making it worth making another video, you will find that video right here. If there wasn't any video right there at the moment, well, then there hasn't been any changes. Or I haven't done a video. If you want to come to Sweden and fly your drone and get paid to do it on commission, you will need a permit. This permit you can get from TRANSPORTSTYRELSEN. Link down below in the description. But if you are like me, you're not doing this professionally, you're doing it just for fun because you like shooting videos, then you will not need a permit for that. Before we go into details, I want to talk a bit about safety. Regardless what the size is of your drone, you can do a lot of damage if you don't know what you're doing. So what I'm saying is that if you are unsure about how to operate your drone, please read the instructions manual, make sure that you take all the precautions needed so nothing bad happens. Especially if you're going to Sweden with your drone, right? If you want to practice, you can do it at home. Back to the good stuff. This video will be split up in 2 parts. First part about simply flying a drone without caring about the camera. So let's say that you don't have a camera on the drone, these are the regulations. There is actually a lot of areas where you cannot fly your drone today in Sweden. As a guideline to finding out if you are in one of those areas, you will use something called drönarkartan, which is the Swedish drone chart. So if we have a look at the drone chart, we can see that a lot of areas are in red. Now these areas the red areas are usually controlled airspace, airports. I will put a link down in the description to the drone chart. Just be aware that everything is not shown on the drone chart. Also be aware that the DJI no-fly zones are not the same as the local regulations here in Sweden. Meaning that even if the DJI Go app, if you have a DJI drone, says that you can fly, you could be in a restricted airspace and DJI just doesn't know about it. You have to make sure that you are in a place where you are allowed to fly. On the drone chart map, all areas marked in red are usually airports. In these red areas you cannot fly if the airport is open. So you have about 2 ways to go here. The first way is that you stay away from the red areas and problem is solved. The second way, if you really want to fly in the red area, like getting some shots of Stockholm, you have the Bromma airport, and they have sometimes during the weekend Bromma airport is closed, but you need to make sure they are closed before you can fly. So how do you do that? It is actually quite simple. You just call the airport and ask them, "Hello, can I fly on Saturday at 4 o'clock?" And they say, "Yeah, maybe, we are closed then, but you need to call us before you take off to make sure that we are not extra open." So you call them and make sure you have the right contact and you have an agreement. Then you call them again before takeoff. If they do not answer, that means that they are closed. But make sure you have the right number before you do this. Even if the guys at the airport says you don't have to call them, you call them. That is the routine. If they're saying you shouldn't call them, that is wrong. Always call them. This is the best for everybody, so we don't have any incidents. But if you want to go the easy way, stay out of the red zones. Okay, looking at the map, what else is it here? Yeah, we have these gray looking areas, G and D letters. These are called R-områden, or restricted areas. Once again, the easy way is to stay away from these ones. But if you really want to fly them, you need to make sure whether they are active or not. Now this page can be found in English. It is called NOTAM, and here you can see the flight planning and daily use plan. So you will have to go in and check one of these lists and look at the number of the affected area which you found on the drone map. They all have numbers, and then you need to see if they are active or not for the day you are flying. This is kind of tricky and hard to read, but if you are unsure, don't fly in the restricted area. Make sure that you are absolutely certain it is not active, because it's military and we don't want any problems with it. I will put a link to the NOTAM down below in the description. Some more things that are not actually shown in the drone map is that you cannot fly over prisons, national parks, or nuclear power plants. There is a discussion going on whether you can take off or not in a national park. I don't think that they are finished with it, so I would recommend you to not take off or land or fly over a national park. Then you have areas that are protected in nature. They are not national park. Each and every one of these places which are protected, like a nature reserve, have their own regulations. You need to check everyone individually, and this can be really hard. So if you see signs that this is like protected nature, fly somewhere else to be safe. One other thing that is good to know is that on the drone chart you can't see heliports for hospitals or the police stations or things like that. But here I would like to recommend an app for you that is called AirMAP. This one can be downloaded for free if you have through iOS or Google Play. I will put a link down in the description to AirMAP. It shows you warnings where you have heliports close by, and also if you are in a regulated area where you cannot fly and so on. It's a really good app. So now we are staying away from the no-fly zones. I'm just going to read a bit for you here what we also have to do and to consider. The regulations in Sweden. It's not that difficult to remember. Common sense will get you pretty far. You need to keep a safe distance from people, animal and buildings. What is the proper distance? Well, the proper distance is what is safe, but I will recommend that you stay away like at least 50 meters or 160 feet away from people, buildings, crowds, whatever. Make sure it's safe. You are responsible for your drone. Keep your drone in the line of sight at all times. Do not go further away than 500 meters, about 1600 feet. The reason for this is that your device, your screen dies. You need to be able to take your drone home without chasing it down. Also pretty common sense. The maximum altitude is 120 meters, about 400 feet. Do not go above. If you want to do something that is not in these rules, go higher than 400 feet or further away or out of line of sight, then you need a permit from TRANSPORTSTYRELSEN. Also we have something that I call the mad Swede scenario. In some location where there is a lot of people, it's likely that somebody's gonna come up to you and ask some questions about what you're doing. They could be interested, and in some rare occasion they could be really pissed. Jag orkar inte! Jag orkar inte! If you have a drone in the air, make sure you tell the person that you're going to land before you start a conversation. Styrka! Once you've landed the drone, try and act polite and explain that you are not doing anything wrong. Maybe you print the flyer in English which I have posted in the description down below. You can use that one and show them that this is what I'm allowed to do, so this is okay. But be very polite and talk to them and explain, because most people are scared of drones and they don't really know how to deal with it. They don't know the regulations and so on. Taking the time to explain will benefit everybody using drones. And who knows, maybe you can take a picture of their house and send to them while you're at it. But don't get paid, because then you need a permit. On to the moment we have all been waiting for. Finally, a drone with a camera. First off, to keep everybody happy, don't take pictures of people who don't want their picture taken.
Right here.
I don't want my picture taken right now.
It makes things easier for all of us. Show some respect. Before August 1st, 2017, there was something in Sweden called a drone ban. It wasn't really a ban, but the Swedish Supreme Administrative Court decided that a camera on a drone is a surveillance camera. And because of this, you needed a permission for camera surveillance. This was pretty much impossible to get at first for many locations, so a lot of people was really upset about this. I made a video about the ban. You can check it out right here if you haven't seen it. But since the ban now is gone, I suppose you don't want to see that video. Good thing though is that the government quickly realized that this is not going to work out. The law for camera surveillance was from the 1970s, so they decided to make some changes, and those changes took effect on August 1st, 2017, just a few days ago. The camera surveillance problem is out of the way. For now. So now we know how we can fly the drone, we know that we can take pictures and record video, and there is one thing left that needs to be considered, and this is kind of a tricky one. Previously, the Swedish Defense had to review all videos and pictures taken from the air because of national security matters. They have now moved this review to an authority called LANTMÄTERIET. So pretty much every picture you take from the air and want to publish online or share to somebody, pretty much anybody, they will have to review it first. Hey, wait a minute, every picture I take, that sucks. Because that means I can't like publish pictures fast on Instagram that I take. It's not as bad as it sounds, because LANTMÄTERIET later declared that there are some exemptions for this review that they are making for aerial photography. And the good thing is, there is a lot of exemptions. The problem for you guys, if you don't speak Swedish, is that all these exemptions are only published in Swedish. So I'm gonna link it down below, the list for all the exemptions, where you don't have to send in your pictures for reviewing by the LANTMÄTERIET. And you can just copy it from the PDF file and paste it in Google Translate, and you can figure out what kind of areas it is, because I would have to make a separate video just going through all these examples, and that kind of sucks, and I don't want to do that. But just to take some examples, they say that public areas, public roads, fields and stuff like that are in the exemptions. So if you go out on a square in the city and take a picture, that is probably one of the exemptions, I would say. But you read it yourself. There is a discussion going on about what is an exemption and not, and let's just say they are not quite there yet with the interpretation. Alright, so if you want to see some cool places in Sweden, I suggest you check out my summer series of the vlog. We travel with the family all the way up to the high coast in the northern parts of Sweden, Höga Kusten. It is a world heritage. When the ice age disappeared from the north, the land and the rock rise up almost 300 meters in the air, creating the most beautiful coastline that I have ever seen. Totally recommend you go there if you have the possibility. If you don't have the possibility, you can always check out my video about it. During this fall I will post a lot of tutorials about what I have learned with flying drones, editing techniques and so on, which I will make tutorials on my YouTube channel. So if you are like me, you want to make really good videos, but you don't want to learn all the stuff that the pros have learned, you want to take pretty much every shortcut there is to make a good video, I suggest you hit the subscribe button, because I'm going to make a lot of those videos during this fall. tutorials on how to get there the short way, not having to learn more than you have to. Let's face it, most of us are not working professionally with this. We just want to make some cool videos with a minimum effort. Alright, that's it. If you have any questions, drop a comment down below and I will try to answer them. If there is a lot of questions, I can make a second video like trying to respond to all of them. Have fun out there and fly safe, guys. See you around.